Hello, and welcome to the We Recommend podcast, a movie podcast where every week we recommend a movie for you to watch and then come back here and listen to us discuss. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Jason, don't you know?
Oh, I just think I'm gonna barf. Oh, well, that passed. Now I'm hungry again. This week we recommend Fargo.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
Not pregnant, but like barfing and then you're immediately hungry.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say, I was like, you've been to Fargo, North Dakota? That's
No.
awesome.
Wait, is it though? It's not really Fargo. They're in Brainerd.
It takes place in like 3 areas. I don't know. It's all over the place. I think they meet in like Fargo at the beginning, but
Okay.
that's it. Yeah.
That's-
I know it's a little
It's just a fun name.
confusing.
It's a fun name for a movie.
So, how many times have you seen this movie? When was the first time you watch it? Do you
Long
like it?
Yeah, I saw it a long time ago, and I've never seen it as an adult, so I'm just gonna go from there.
Oh, really? Okay.
As an adult, I loved it. It was great. It was a fun little watch. It's only like 90 minutes or something.
Yeah, it's like an hour 30 something.
Yeah.
It's great.
Amazing.
Love it. Love movies like that, and the fact that it's really good and hilarious and sad and
Very sweet too.
also
sometimes.
just like yes, very, very sweet. It's that north that Midwestern sweetness but like there's something behind everybody there.
I know, everyone's
It's
so
wild.
nice.
Everybody's so nice to each other. Then as soon as they're pushed to a certain limit, it's like I'll do anything to get whatever I need,
Yes.
which is hilarious. And I don't know, like I don't really know too many like Midwestern people really. I mean, I guess we work with some, but they don't act like it. They don't act like this, you know. They definitely got the southern ways down, which is we're all just kind of miserable. we're all super nice to you, but we're also kind of all obviously miserable here.
Yeah,
I
because
don't know.
it's fucking cold all the time. I would be too.
Yeah. This is probably one of my favorite movies. It's not my favorite Coen movie, but it actually watching it this time, I was like, I don't know, maybe it is. It's really hard. Every time I watch one of the Coen Brothers movies, I'm always like, oh, no, this one's my favorite. And then I'll watch the next one. Oh, no, wait, this one might be my favorite, actually. I think for me, it's between this, Big Lebowski, and No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
Probably for my favorites.
Oh,
But
that's so good. No Country for Old Men, and you remember the one with the aliens, like the goofy alien family, and they move to town, and like the girl goes to high school, and Dan Aykroyd, the Coen heads.
Coen. Oh.
Ha!
I was like, I've seen almost all of the Coen Brothers movies, unless it's in the ones that I haven't seen, which I think is only like 2 of them. I have no idea. They did not seem like alien people to me.
Oh man,
That's
Ba-dum.
awesome. So this film stars WilliamH.Macy,
He's
the
great.
legend, the guy that always just looks so nice in shows, but then by the time you really get to know the guy, he's usually kind of a crappy person in a movie.
Oh yeah, in this one he's a huge piece of shit.
I know, he's just the worst liar. Frances McDormand, one of the best actresses, just actors in general, that's ever done it.
She's awesome.
She's amazing in this, and like everybody's great, but without her and Steve Buscemi, this movie wouldn't be nearly as good as this. And WilliamH.Macy, he's great. They're all great. What am I talking about? You got Steve Buscemi, he plays Carl. Peter Stormare plays Gaear. That's how we're saying it. I'm sorry if it's wrong. And old Kristen Rudrud. She's Swedish, I'm assuming, because she plays Jean. And you got Harvey Presnell, who plays Wade. And then whoever the guy that played Norm was that I said, I forgot. It's
Lynch. Something Harold
yeah,
Lynch.
hold on. Let me get there. John Carroll Lynch, who, if anybody's as big of a fan of Zodiac as I am, which we will do soon, hopefully.
Ooh,
It's just
haven't seen that one.
it's a really long movie. That's why I haven't done it yet.
Oh.
He plays Norm. probably the best old husband in the whole history of the world.
Wouldn't you know?
Wouldn't you know? Oh gosh, so hard not to watch this movie and just immediately want to do the accent right. This is like every time they say something, every time they said yeah, even just sitting alone on my recliner taking notes, I was like, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah. It's so good. Something about this movie that I love is just it makes me feel cold.
Yes.
Right? I was watching it. I was like, I only have cold coffee. I have to make hot coffee right now because I am freezing watching this movie. Put some pants on. I was wearing shorts. I wasn't just naked in my house.
Oh, well, it's fine if you are.
Just naked in my house watching Fargo, taking notes for a podcast. That's the life I want.
That is the life.
But it just reminds me. I also love, because Tennessee, anybody that's listening to this that doesn't live here, we just had the craziest snowstorm, which for anybody that lived in Fargo, they just like, oh, this is a Tuesday like in September for us. But we had the craziest snowstorm, and I couldn't believe how much they were driving on the roads there. I was like, how are they able to handle this? I'm driving home from work on the Monday night when the snow was coming down, and it's just, there's cars on the side of the road everywhere.
Geez.
It's hilarious for them. But they're able to just drive in it perfect. And then we see that one flip car, and I was like, oh, those tires look legit.
Well, like they're ready for it. Like they're
so jealous.
Cities plan for this to happen.
Yeah.
Tennessee's like, it may happen, it may not. Let's not prepare at all.
Let's just make sure we don't have the proper equipment for this. I don't know why we're doing this accent for the Southerners now.
Local politics.
Crazy. Just don't come here during the winter. I know everybody wants to, especially from the north, because they're snowbirds. Just go to Florida.
Yeah, go further south.
Go for it. Just don't go to Tennessee. Okay. But also, maybe don't go to Florida if they're crazy there.
Yeah.
Can't wait. We're going soon. Yeah. So like they're so prepared there in North Dakota. The end scene, whenever they're going to get Jerry, like the two cops that they're going to bust in on his room, that snowplow that goes in front, that road is blocked. There's supposed to be no cars there. But, they're serious about clearing the roads. And so I was like, I don't care, I'm going. And so he just drove by, and that's why you see the snowplow. And I'm like, that's actually perfect. That was great.
Yeah, you never would have known that it wasn't supposed to be there.
That car should go.
Yeah, we need those things.
Yeah, it really just... It's just like a happy accident.
It was Homer Simpson driving Mr. Plow.
Yeah. It's Crazy Plow. Like Crazy Taxi, but instead it's plow trucks.
The plowing service from X.
Yeah.
It's a different service, though.
It's a different service. Hell yeah, that service. So we'll go into a little bit of factoids about this. So
I love facts.
Yeah. Oh gosh! So when Frances and if I do a northern accent, I have to start with "oh gosh."
You just got to get it out of our system.
Yeah, you just have to add like the two words that just get me into that accent. So when Frances McDormand was performing as the pregnant cop Marge in Fargo, she wore a pregnancy pillow to resemble a baby bump. It was filled with birdseed that weighed out to about the same as a growing fetus. So McDormand didn't have to deliberately try to look pregnant. It just came naturally with the added weight.
Nice. So
in preparation for the role, McDormand worked with a pregnant cop in St. Paul. One day during shooting, McDormand left her prosthetic pregnancy suit in her cold trailer overnight. The next morning, the silicone breasts were frozen, and one of them even popped.
Oh.
Like, I never thought of that. I was like, oh, it's just filled with birdseed. That's awesome.
I had to wear one of those prosthetic pregnancy belly things for when my wife was pregnant the first time.
Oh, really? She was like, you have to feel this.
Yeah, it was like a group class, and I put it on, and I just kept making jokes about it.
Oh yeah,
and
she's like, I hate that you're wearing this.
Yes, she's like, I can't believe you took over this. I made it not all about you.
It's me now. It's like, hey wife, can you get me something to eat? I just feel so bloated right now. So WilliamH.Macy originally auditioned to play the state trooper in Fargo. After doing 2 readings for the role of Jerry Lundegaard, right? Yeah, Lundegaard. That's my bad. I wrote my notes weird. Macy became convinced that he was the perfect choice for the part. The Coens didn't see it that way and never got back to Macy about his audition. Instead, they wanted to cast Richard Jenkins, who I love, So Macy flew out to New York where the Coens were about to go into production and told them that casting somebody else as Jerry would be a big mistake and they would end up screwing up the whole movie if they did.
Oh, wow.
He may have been being hyperbolic, but it landed him the part.
Nice.
And I think he even said something about their dogs, like, hate for something to happen to your dog. He was just joking, but I think that got him the role because he's like, oh, wow, he's kind of being like Jerry right now. You know? And in Fargo, Frances McDormand and John Carroll Lynch play the pregnant cop and her husband, Norm. Before Fargo went into production, director Joel Coen asked the two actors to come up with a backstory for the characters. Between them, they came up with a sweet story about how the characters met. Marge and Norm fell in love while they were working on the police force together, and when they got married, they decided that one of them should quit. Since Marge was the better officer, Norm was the one who quit and took up the painting as a hobby. And I was like, oh.
So when he was in that office, that wasn't his office. That was just he was just bringing her lunch.
Yeah, he's just bringing her lunch because he's the sweetest old guy in the world.
Jeez, I know, and he paints birds for stamps.
It's like, geez Louise, dude. It's like, could you be any more of a charming husband?
And it's not just him. Like, the whole police force are the best cops you've
I just love every time that they're having lunch or someone walks by and Norm's there. Like, it immediately starts, oh, yeah, we got, we heard about this. Oh, hey, Norm, I thought you were going ice fishing. And it's like, on the point here, guys, on the point here. It's just funny. It's just, I've never been to the Midwest before, but it's like, if this is how it is, like, they want to kind of get to business, but, oh, hey, actually, I want to know what you're doing, you know?
I'm interested in your life.
Yeah.
Which is something I don't get a lot around here.
Yeah. I'm interested in your life. I promise. So when Fargo went into production during the winter of 1994 and 1995, Minnesota coincidentally went through its sunniest, warmest summer in history.
Oh, shit. That's bad for snow.
That winter brought the state's lowest record amount of snowfall ever. The whole point of the movie was to feel cold and unforgiving, so this was hardly convenient for the people in charge of composing each shot. Cinematographer Roger Deakins, like the best to ever do it, managed to work around the unexpectedly pleasant weather, and only one scene in the whole movie was shot on a sunny day. But Deakins still hates that one sunny scene because it distracts from the bleak feeling of the movie. I feel like that was the part where Jerry's trying to escape Marsh at the place because it was pretty sunny. And I did clock it. I was like, oh, it looks kind of nice out there.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. So, have you ever heard of this true story before?
No, and I looked it up, and I think it's not. I mean, they just kind of.
I was hoping you didn't look it up. So I
didn't read much about it. I just kind of read the headline. Like the Coen Brothers kind of picked a few things out of it.
Well, it's completely fake, I guess. There's some elements of this.
Right,
like the woodchipper was like a real thing that happened at some point.
That's cool. I'm glad that's the real part.
Right, which is the most insane.
I'm glad that somebody got put in
possible way to dispose a body. You know what I like? You know, when a murderer murders someone, like, crap, I gotta get rid of the evidence. Maybe I should spray it everywhere. But Fargo's opening title card boldly announced that it's based on a true story. Supposedly, it took place in 1987. The names have been changed, but the events have been left the same. The Coens wrote this story entirely as a work of fiction, but they were so committed to the true storyline that they let everyone on the cast and crew believe that they were making a true crime thriller. It wasn't until 3 weeks into shooting that the brothers revealed that the movie was fictional. The true story epigraph has been carried over into the FX anthology series inspired by the movie. Did you ever watch have you watched any of the series?
I heard it's good, though.
The first season's pretty good. We didn't actually end up finishing it because of my weird TV problem. But
well, didn't it come out like 10 years ago and then they finally picked it back up recently?
It's been, man, oh my God, it is getting pretty close to 10 years. Yeah. I think it was like 15 or 16 when the first season came out.
Dang.
I think that's 4 seasons in?
Yeah.
Well, I know the season before this one, I don't think it got the best, like, reviews, I'm assuming. So maybe that's why they took a minute. And then I think COVID happened and all that. And then the writer's strike.
Fucking COVID.
You know, just everything was happening there for a minute. Although the film's plot is not based on a true story, the plot element of disposing a body by a woodchipper is. That incident was inspired by the true life murder of Haley Crafts in Newton, Connecticut, who was murdered by her husband, Richard Crafts, in 1986. Although he disposed of her body using a wood chipper, enough tissue remained to positively identify her as the victim. His 50-year sentence was shortened for good behavior, and he is set to be released from prison in 2020.
Oh, so he's out.
So you kill someone and you put them in a wood chipper, and they're like, you know what?
You're a good guy.
You got good behavior. You know what? You don't leave the seed up in your.
You know what would be better than a wood chipper?
So,
you know those things that when you go to the dump and they have those things that munch up all the stuff?
Oh, like the one that's like has like teeth and it grinds and you can throw almost anything in there and grinds it up.
Yes. That's what you should have used.
Have you ever seen Halloween Kills? You should watch Halloween Kills.
Those are one of those.
You should just watch Halloween Kills. It's the very end of the movie. You should watch it.
Maybe this Halloween I'll be able to check it out.
We might. Well, no, we won't be doing it.
Because I can't watch it before then.
That's true. It does feel weird. Like if you put on, oh, it's May. Let me put on Halloween. I'm just going to end up doing the voice every once in a while. So, hop right in.
Yeah.
Let's do this. So we get a title card that says the events depicted in this film took place in Minnesota in 1987.
Oh, Minnesota.
Survivors' names have changed and the dead happened exactly as it occurred. So we open in a frozen landscape. We see a car in frame, but you can barely see it until it gets closer. It's also towing another car. We learn that this took place in Fargo, North Dakota. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm doing a true crime thing now.
Okay, so that's where they met him. He met them in Fargo.
Yeah, he met them in Fargo, North Dakota.
Brought them the car.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
We see Jerry. He walks into the bar. He is meeting Carl and Gaear. Maybe I should just call him Peter Stormare.
Sure.
Probably be easier because I just feel weird not fully saying it right. He's given them a car as a trade for them kidnapping his wife. Always goes well. So that his wife's father will pay a ransom and Carl and Jerry will split the ransom. Jerry is scared to ask his wife's father for money. They don't know Jerry is in trouble because he's just a scummy guy
Yes.
who is desperate for money because money is the root of all evil.
And he's fucked up his business somehow.
Yeah, and it's not even like his business. He's
Right.
just like a sales manager. That's it.
For his father-in-law.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think it's his father-in-law. I don't even think he works for him.
Well, he said his father-in-law owns the car dealership.
Oh, I'm such an idiot. I must have missed it. Idiot. Tina. Eat your food. God, we gotta
Eat your ham, Tina.
Maybe after we should do
I think we should
do Napoleon Dynamite soon. Okay, so in Minnesota, Jerry comes home. We meet the wife and father. They have dinner. The wife is Jean. The father is Wade. They have dinner. It's very awkward. Jerry starts bringing up a deal for a parking lot, and he needs $750,000 for a lot. The father doesn't seem interested. He's like, I'm not just going to give you that money.
God, it's a real shark.
You know, I love the idea that this is all happening just so a guy can buy a parking lot.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that wild?
But it's so weird. It's a business. It's business.
It's business, baby. Or if he's even buying the parking lot and just,
I think he wants to build one, right?
Yeah, something like that. Now we're with Carl and Peter Stormare's character driving. Gaear wants pancakes and Carl wants to get laid.
He said, didn't he say Mr. Pancake?
I don't know. No, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember if he said Mr. Pancake.
Are we going to go see Mr. Pancake? And I'm like, what?
It must just be his accent.
This is a person?
This is our first chance of getting to see how much Gaear really does not like Carl at all. He's just like a quiet ticking time bomb while Carl is just a guy that won't shut up. And also earlier in the conversation where they're talking about giving over the car and stuff like that, we learned that the way Jerry got in contact with these people was a guy named Shep, which we'll meet a little later.
Shep Proudfoot.
Yep. Yes. We are with Jerry, who's getting yelled at by a customer. Now, you said it was going to be $19,500.
I fucking hate buying car. Like,
bro,
it sucks.
He's just like the scummiest guy. He just lies. He
used car salesmen, I don't know I guess it's a used car salesman.
Seems like it.
They
type of guy.
are scummy.
So I won't go to one. I'm just like, if I'm going to buy a car, I'm just going to go to a regular dealership. Like, I don't know. It's just more comfortable. They're just as bad, I feel like, but.
Yeah, but they're all bad.
Yeah. Buying cars sucks. That's why all these like, oh, buy a car online. Be like, that does sound good.
Yeah, I don't have to deal with a human.
Especially since I don't have any sort of negotiating skills. So usually I just go in there. I'm like, I'm just gonna say yes to everything so I can get out of here as quick as possible.
And they know that,
Yeah,
and they play against
exactly. But luckily, I got a decent car, and it's been running for like 10 years. So let's go, baby.
This is car talk.
Yeah. So Jerry, he is upselling the guy on a car because he's like trying to tell him like, oh, I'm gonna add in the True Coat. But what he didn't tell the guy is that the True Coat automatically comes with it, and it costs a lot of money. He pretends like the guy's like, I was like, all right, I'll go ask my boss, see what we can do on the price. He goes, he pretends to ask the boss. Then when he comes back, he's, oh, I can knock $100 off of it.
And the guy pays it.
Yeah, and he's just like, I love that he's trying to be that nice Midwesterner, the customer, but he's like, oh gosh, I don't like you. You're a liar. You're a fucking liar. The wife's like, oh my gosh, I just said that. But the guy pays full price for the car. Jeez. It's like, just get out my checkbook.
Oh, you just get tired of hearing it.
I know. Eventually, it's like, so I would just like, all right, I'm not buying this car. But it seems like the only dealership too. So
I guess
the way they made it seem, because later when Marge comes to Jerry, it's like, did she know to go to Jerry, or was it just, I'm going to the only dealership around?
Probably.
Or maybe she went to all of them. I don't know. So Carl and Gaear stop at a motel to have sex, not with each other, but with some escorts. And it's really funny because you got Gaear, he's over there like trying to block her view from them. But then you just have Carl over there just straight up staring at those two. And I'm like, he's such a freak. But then we immediately cut to them watching TV, just like sitting there. Which is a very prominent thing in this movie. I feel like so many times we cut to just people watching TV. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, there was a lot of TV watching.
Yeah, it just seems like, I guess because it's so cold, nobody has anything to do but to sit there and watch TV.
What are you going to do? Go outside?
Yeah, and die because it's probably negative 20 out.
Never.
We got to Jerry's wife. She's arguing with the son because the son got C's, and she's like, you're not going to be doing hockey if you don't. That was weird. That was a weird accent. If you don't get those grades up.
Her hair is hilarious.
Yeah, it's like crazy 80s hair.
Yeah.
The father, Wade, calls and says that him and Stan, a guy who he does business with, I guess Stan kind of controls most of Wade's money and at his business, says they are interested in the parking lot deal. Jerry goes and finds Shep, the guy that set him up with Carl and Gaear, the guy who put Jerry in touch with Gaear, who he vouches for, but he doesn't vouch for Carl. He's like, I don't know Carl. I don't vouch for him. Like Jerry's just trying to have the conversation. He's like, I don't vouch for that guy. Just over and over. Jerry wants to cancel the deal since he may have the opportunity with the parking lot. Shep doesn't know how to get into contact with him, though, because no cell phones.
Yeah, you've already set him loose.
Sucks.
Can't stop it.
Yeah, exactly. This is another instance where there's this like, you know how we did the Big Lebowski, our first episode? Go listen to it. It's rough, but we did it. There's like a lot of repetitive dialogue. Yeah. And it's just the same again, even in this. I see what you're saying. It's just very funny when people just constantly repeat things. It's great.
And it kind of like, it shows like a lot of frustration.
Yeah. And also, I think that's just something very natural that people do, even in conversation.
Yes.
I feel like we do that a lot. Maybe.
Yeah, we probably do.
We should just try to remember and see if we do that. So Carl and them make it to Minneapolis. Carl is getting upset because Gaear isn't talking in the car. It's like total silence.
Just smoking a lot.
And he's like, I'm not going to talk. I'm just not going to talk. If you don't want to talk, I'm not going to talk.
So you like it.
And then he just sits there and consistently won't shut up. This might be my favorite Steve Buscemi performance. He's so good in this.
He is very good.
Yeah, he's always good. He's just great. He's got the craziest face in the world, and he's great. He's so a good talker. Crazy. It's wild.
I wanted to look up and see if he'd ever been on Sesame Street.
God, I don't know. They're probably like, they probably got him in there, put him next to Big Bird, and he's like, this isn't gonna work.
Ew.
They're both kind of scary looking together. Big Bird alone, fine. Steve Buscemi alone, fine. Together, doesn't work.
Bad combo.
So Jerry is getting a call from someone who is, I guess, auditing their inventory, and they need the serial numbers from all the cars that he had.
He's the person that gave him the loan for new cars.
Yeah. And which I'm assuming is probably why he needs the money to pay him back. He says he paid him, but
yeah, I'd like to know like how he lost so much money.
Yeah,
like, what happened to it?
I think he's just
bad at business.
maybe. Yeah,
I don't know.
I think he just tries to make deals and lies and just gets them into more lies and more lies and more lies. But we learned that he sent like the serial numbers of all the cars to him, but he made sure that he did it where it wasn't legible to buy him time.
Oh, jeez.
And the guy's getting it. He's like, okay, I'll send it to you. Don't worry. It's like, dude, I don't know what you can do, but you got to stop at some point. And then we cut to Jerry's wife, Jean, who's watching TV again. There's a lot in the notes where we start off with, the scene starts with him watching TV.
Yeah, it's great. And she sees the guy
I
come
love
up to
it.
the window.
She doesn't do anything.
She's just like watching.
Huh? Now, this would not happen in Minneapolis or North Dakota, wherever they're at. Yeah, but Jean sees the masked figure looking in the house and break the window, which she just like waits for him to break in to run away for some reason. She almost gets caught, but is able to get away by biting Carol. She tries to call the police and locks herself in the bathroom, but they like rip the cord from the phone out. Too bad she didn't have a cell phone.
Yeah, this is 1987.
Yep. And so it looks like she escaped through the window. So we think but we learned because she bit Gaear, he is like, he says,
unguent.
I need unguent. So he goes into their medicine cabinet, closes it.
But
and in the mirror,
knocks everything out.
Yeah. Well,
the shelf is not deep.
Yeah. It turns out this guy, a guy who puts people in wood chippers,
not
good guys.
He's just messy.
Not really thinking about anything. I know. Eventually, they're gonna get caught because they're gonna have fingerprints everywhere. These guys didn't even wear gloves.
Yeah, they're bad at being criminals.
Yeah. So he gets the ointment, puts it on his hand, and then looks in the mirror and sees the shower curtain completely closed.
This is hilarious.
And he's like, And then she runs out and I guess attacking him, but completely misses because she can't see with the shower curtain. Then she's just running around, which is the theme for her characters, just running around without being able to see.
It's really funny.
Misses and then just falls down the stairs. And Gaear just goes down there and just looks down at her and is like, okay, well, that was easy. It's so good. It's so funny. Meanwhile, though, Jerry, Wade, and Stan meet up to talk about the parking lot. The thing is, with Jean, it's like, man, if he didn't have to put ointment on, she might have gotten out of there.
Yeah, well, maybe, yeah. Well, they would have realized that she didn't actually run out.
Or
maybe
they've just been like, all right, we got to bail now. Like, this didn't work out. We have to go. It's like, maybe if she just hid somewhere else, like in a closet or something. So Wade and Stan want to know his finder's fee. Because he went to Wade and Stan, the two guys he's want to do the lot with, and they're like, so how much do you want for this? He's like,
excuse me?
For Pete's sake, what are you talking about? They thought he was just bringing the deal to them, but Jerry needs their money. And I love he's like, well, I just need the money. I'll pay you back. It's like, we're not a bank, Jerry. And they say that like 5 times in the scene. It's great. Jerry promises that he'll pay them back, but they don't care about his word. It's like, we don't want your word. We don't care about that. That means nothing. Yeah, it's a lot of money to give you.
And this guy, now thinking about it now, like as you say this, he's just bad at business, and that's probably why he lost all the money.
Yeah, that's what it is. He tries to get,
he doesn't know what to do, I think.
Yeah, well.
Or how business works.
He's just not, he doesn't have that dog in him, you know?
I guess.
He doesn't have that dog in him. He's just such a pushover that, I mean,
that's true.
He can't do deals.
He's a very pushy salesman, though, with cars.
Very pushy. Well, he seems like he'll lie. And then you get him in the crunch time. He's like, well, you already said you would, so I don't know what you're talking about here. I'm just going to be as nice as possible till you give in. Yeah. But so they have this whole argument, and Jerry's like, no, why are y'all doing this to me? He just wants to run it himself using their money. Just not how you should have done that. You should have just been like, no, that's just take whatever money you can get at this point.
Yeah, 10% of $720,000. That's not bad.
Yeah. All right. But it's not enough to pay off whatever he's doing. But then at the end, because Wade is a businessman who, we'll learn later, is just too abrasive and too thinking he's better than Jerry, which if he'd still be alive if he just listened to Jerry, actually, for the first time he ever sang that. But they ask him, it's like, hey, do you mind if we do this deal independently without you then? And he's like, God dang it. Then we get this great shot of the car in the parking lot where there's only like 2 car tire tracks and the whole parking lot's completely empty.
He goes all around and crazy.
And he walks to his car, Jerry does, and then he gets in, his windshield is completely covered in ice. He starts scraping it, and then he gets super mad, like, God dang it. Just like throws his scraping tool, but then he's like, just goes, picks it back up, and starts scraping again. It's like, well, that was a fun freak out, but I have to do this.
Jerry just can't catch a break. Can't even kill his wife for money or kidnap her.
Right? Poor Jerry.
You know what he should have done?
It's not even actually poor Jerry. Poor anybody that knows Jerry.
What he should have done is tried to bring in the father-in-law on the deal, kind of like Man on Fire when they kidnapped the daughter to try to make money disappear, so they won't have to pay it in taxes or whatever.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
That's
a good businessman.
We should do that movie. I've never seen it. If it's a good movie, I don't know.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah, we'll have to do it soon then. So Jerry comes home. He's walking through his house, seeing all the damage, just blank staring, looking at everything. And then we hear Jerry. We think he's on the phone talking to the father-in-law.
But no,
but really he's just practicing his speech. Yeah. And I love this because he does make the call after he feels like he's ready to do the speech. And then he gets like the secretary or whatever. It's like, oh, yes, could you just pass me through your way, please? With no anxiety in her voice at all. So we're back to Carl and Gaear. They have Jean in the back seat. They're getting, but they're starting. She was, I guess, in the trunk, but then they put her in the back seat. Probably because it's freezing.
She might freeze it.
She'd probably freeze it up.
I guess.
But then, of course, classic. They get pulled over. Carl says he will take care of this, and I mean, if anybody's gonna take care of it, it's gonna be Carl, right? That guy's smooth.
Bad criminals forgot to put on the dealer license plate.
Right. The cop walks up and asks for their tax. He tries to bribe the cop with a 50. Does not work because these are just some good old wholesome cops. The cop asks him to step out of the car, and then Jean starts making a little bit of noise. Dang it, Jean. So Gaear, he just straight up takes the cops
killer
by his shirt, like slams him into the door, and then shoots him right in the head. And it's just,
I thought he grabbed him by the hair and slammed his head in the door.
It was something around that, yeah. And then he just straight up shoots him in the top of the head, and just like blood just.
Yeah, that was gross.
Yes, rough all over Carl.
So do you think that this is what cops are when they pull you over, they're probably thinking it's probably a normal traffic stop, or it's Gaear and Carl?
Yeah, probably. I think that's why they're always like ready right there.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm sure there's probably tons of stories where this has happened to cops. It's like pull somebody over and next thing you know, they immediately get shot.
Yeah, that's terrible. What you should do is when you get pulled over, yell out the window, "I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to kill you."
That's when they're like, wow, I really think I'm going to die. I'm definitely going to call for backup now.
Definitely not going to kill you. Come on over.
Oh, gosh. Okay, I believe you. Here, I'll leave my gun in the front seat, okay? Yeah. So Gaear tells him to move the cop out of the road. But while Carl is doing that, we see a car is coming down the road. Instead of trying to quickly move them, they're just like, uh-oh. And as the car pulls by, you just see the faces in the car like, oh my God. And so Garrett's just like, all right. He gets in this driver's seat and chases them. And then we see this chase happen. And all we see is the red lights, the rearview light, or the brake lights from the car in front. And then all of a sudden they disappear. And then Gaear rolls up and he sees that the car is flipped upside down. A guy runs out trying to run away. He gets shot. And then he looks in the car and he sees a girl who's just like scared, of course, and breathing. And then he just straight up shoots her. And that's the end of that scene.
Gaear.
It's pretty rough. It's a rough scene.
Sucks for those kids.
Yeah, it's been like a fun movie at this point because it's all been kind of silly and crazy. And it's like, oh, it's going to be this silly kidnap movie. And then it just ends up like, oh, okay. No, these guys really mean business.
You know what the saddest part about that is? That dude probably was going to get the second base.
It seemed like that he might have been able to have sex that night. It just seemed like it. I don't know. I don't know. There's something I love about Coen Brothers movies are that they just take these normal people in these movies and put them in insane situations. But what I love about them is they put like the stupidest people.
Yes.
Like usually, I wouldn't say Marge definitely isn't stupid. she's like the smart one. There's always like one smart person in their movie, and they usually end up working out for them. Like all these dumb people that just keep making dumber and dumber decisions, and it implodes on them.
But I think that's genius about
it's great.
They take these normal people, put them in. This human experience is really interesting, but most people are like kind of dumb.
Yeah,
I'd say.
Most
especially
people
when they
mess everything up,
especially in like extreme circumstances.
Exactly. I would just never in a million years would ever try any of this. So now we're 33 minutes into the film, and we finally meet our lead character, Marge, and her husband, Norm. He's not the lead, but he's the lead in my heart.
I gotta say, I hate their decorations.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so 80s.
I'm not going to lie.
Flowery. And
everything in this movie, when it came to decorations of everything, I'm just like, dang, we are out of this era.
Good thing we're not in the 80s anymore.
Yeah. And I feel like it's because it's supposed to be late 80s, it's like this weird mix of
like the 90s
80s,
transitional,
like bad 80s staying around, and then like kind of like the janky 90s starting to happen. So everybody's decorations are kind of like, ooh, this is a weird mix of stuff. And plus, everything's just like, we don't care how it looks inside. We just need to make sure we clear our roads in our driveway. That's all that matters. So we see Marge, she gets a call. But first, we see all these paintings of ducks and stuff and birds. We see Marge, she's a pregnant cop. She got a phone call saying that there's like been a crime happening. She has to get up. It's like super early in the morning. It's not even daylight out. And she's starting to get up. But Norm, she's like, oh, it's super early, Norm. You can just stay in bed. He's like, no, you need eggs.
I would have been like, okay, bye.
See, that's the difference. Norm, best husband ever. I just love it because all he's saying is like, no, you got to eat breakfast. You need some eggs. You got to eat something. No, Norm, just stay down. It's like, you need to eat some eggs.
You need to eat a breakfast.
But I love it because he gets up and goes, and then she's just sitting there putting her watch on, and she just like gives this like really sweet smile. Yes. Like, he's such a good husband.
Oh my God, I know.
So cute.
Quit it, Norm, making us look bad.
And then I love it because then we cut to them eating. She gets out. She gets like, all right, that's enough for me. And then she goes get in her car, and he's just sitting there eating. She comes in. Yeah, the old brown lady needs a jump. Talking about her police car. Which she's
brown lady?
She called it like the brown something, didn't she? What'd she call it?
I don't know, but it wasn't brown lady. That's
funny.
I
think it was. I don't know. Maybe I misheard it.
Maybe it was. Oh, I love that. All right.
I'm going to look it up after this. Yeah, as soon as I said it, I was like, that seems weird. That doesn't seem like Marge. So my bad if that's not it. But I thought that's what it was.
The romper or the
brown. She said something. Brown something. Or maybe she said beige. I don't know.
Settle this.
Yeah, we'll settle it. Fight to the death. Whoever loses gets put in a wood chipper.
Oh
no. So Marge shows up at the crime scene. It's one of the funniest scenes, just because it's like, oh, what you got there? And it's just some coffee, and they're walking around talking so nonchalantly and everything, talking about the cold and like, oh gosh, well,
triple murder.
Triple murder, eh? Dang, this is a homicide, huh? She examines the scene and pretty much figures out everything just by looking around.
Yeah, this is great.
And then we get the classic, I just think I'm gonna barf. So funny. But yeah, she's able to look at it, and she sees like the guy that ran sees that he was running, obviously not to get shot. She immediately is like, oh, these guys must have been chased, and then they crashed, and then he shot the guy out there, and then looked inside because the girl had a gunshot wound in the hand and the head. She's like, oh, well, this is immediately a defense wound. And just it's like, where's the trooper? So they go look at the trooper.
And these bodies, it's just
I love it. She goes to him, is like, oh, well, he looks like a nice enough guy. And so they pretty much are like, oh, these are different footprints. She's just noticing everything. It's great.
And I love that about, like, because in other movies that are more gritty, I guess, they'd be like, oh, look at this asshole. No,
right. It's completely the opposite of all of it.
She finds the good in everything.
Everybody, no matter who it is, even if she thinks they're a criminal.
Even a corpse-sicle.
But then they're driving away from the scene. Marge learns that the last car he pulled over was a new car because he's like, yeah, the license plates were DLR. And it's like, I don't agree with your police work there. It's like, don't you think it was a dealership?
He's like, oh, yeah.
And he really can't believe he got it all wrong because even after the scene, like before it cuts away, you just see his face like, dang it. So Jerry meets with Wade and Stan. Wade wants to go to the cops, and so does Stan at this point. But Jerry's like, no. They said if we go to the cops, they're going to kill her. And we learn that Jerry says they are asking for $1 million instead of the $80,000 that
he's going to pay them,
the
guys.
But the guys think they're just getting $80,000, and they're going to split it.
How else is he going to make any money off this deal?
Exactly.
It's his deal.
Yeah. So Stan is agreeing with Jerry. Wade wants to only give half, though, and he's super pissed. He doesn't. Truthfully, I don't know how much he actually cares about his daughter because he is upset that he's giving that $1 million away.
He's trying to make a deal.
Yeah. Stan tells him, "Don't worry, they'll get their money." And he's like, "How's Scotty doing?" And Jerry's like, "Oh crap."
Oh yeah, stop to think about how this might affect my son.
Right. Exactly. So funny. Jerry talks to Scotty. He calms him as much as he can. And then I love when he closes the door. There's just a giant poster for Accordion King.
Accordion King. I want to see that movie.
I was like, what the hell? That's such a funny little bit.
Gosh.
So we are with Carl and Gaear at this.
My brother-in-law can play the accordion really well.
Really?
Which is weird.
I just don't understand.
I've never met anyone who could play an accordion.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. It's like, I want a piano that sounds bad and I can carry around and also squeeze.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a black belt and also play accordion.
It's like, well, if two things were gonna go together, it's those two things. You're the accordion king.
Anyway. Sorry.
So they're at this like lake house thing. They get Jean out of the car and she just starts running around like a chicken with her head cut off because she can't see. You just got Carl watching and laughing. Just like,
so did this remind you of Snatch? Because didn't the Coen Brothers do Snatch?
No, that was
Oh right, okay. But there's the
Guy Ritchie.
Okay,
yeah.
But like the guy Boris the Blade comes out with the hood on his head, and then he's like doing this exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he gets hit by a car.
Well, Guy Ritchie is a big fan of the Coen Brothers.
Okay.
Kind of everybody is. It's just they're just kind of the best.
They're okay.
So we cut to Marge at the police department. Norman's there with lunch because he's the best. Norm, we also know that Norm's a painter. The guy walks in, immediately talks business. So hey, Norm, how's the painting going?
Yeah, they're checking on him.
And the officer starts telling Marge about Carl and Gaear that there's like these two people staying at the Blue Ox. Then she goes to this bar to talk to the escorts.
They're so funny.
They're great. The girls say Carl was smaller and funny looking. I was like, is there anything else? Oh, Andy's uncircumcised.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Got a good look at that one.
Yeah. And then they say Garrett was older and looked like the Marlboro Man. She's like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're all shaking their heads together.
They say they were going to the Twin Cities. And they're like, is that used for you? Yeah. The other girl, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. It's so funny. So we cut to Carl and they're watching TV and Carl's just smacking the TV. It's kind of a tense scene.
Yeah.
Because you got the one guy just yelling, the other guy staring. You can tell that he's kind of getting annoyed.
He's a psychopath. Like he liked watching the static.
Yeah. And then you have Jean who's just like sitting there. You can see her breath kind of coming out of the mask and she's kind of like shaking a little bit. And it's like,
she's terrified. If
she would just stay calm and quiet, she might get out of all this, but it's just not going to work out for her either way.
And they kept the oven open next to her.
Yeah, it's for heat.
Fire hazard.
There's people during the winter, like there's people that I know just that didn't have a well-insulated house and all they had was like 2 little heaters and they would open their stove for heat.
I've heard of people doing it
happened all the time back in the day. So we cut to Marge and Norm in bed watching TV. Next morning, she gets a call. It's a call from a friend back from school. I guess like from back in the day when they're in school and stuff, named Mike. He's like in Minneapolis. He's asking about her.
This fucking guy.
Yeah, this guy's a piece of shit. So we cut to Jerry selling a car and he gets a call from Carl. Carl says things have changed since blood has been spilled. Now they want the full $80,000 to themselves. Then Jerry gets a call from the guy asking about serial numbers for cars and says if he doesn't get them, he will contact the legal team that he works with. Jerry starts freaking out because all the walls are slowly closing in on him.
Your lies have compounded.
Yes, because he's bad at this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Marge and Norm, they go to a buffet. You just have Marge grabbing every single
it looks
piece
so
of meat
good,
on it.
Though. I haven't been to a buffet for years.
Yeah, and you know what? Most buffets' food doesn't look that good.
Yeah,
I feel like
that's true. And this is kind of a fancy buffet.
Yeah, it looked really nice.
It was like everything inside. It wasn't all like bench seating. Like
it's like all probably just like all food that was just hunted in North Dakota too. So it was probably
all them chickens and wild chickens.
It did look. Man, I'm getting hungry. Jesus. So another officer comes in with more information on Carl and Gaear. They have Shep's name now, and Marge is gonna go there to talk to him. And then Norm has like this interesting like look on his face whenever he says, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to Minneapolis." He goes, "Oh yeah," I was like, which I'll talk more about that in a second when she meets Mike. So back with Marge, she checks in at her hotel and makes a call asking about Shep, and also asks like about a place to get lunch. So we see Carl driving around and steals a car's license plate. I love it because he goes to the very top of this parking lot and just starts driving in circles.
Yeah.
And every time he gets like the middle of the like area you're supposed to drive in the parking lot, his car tires just start spinning. I'm like, golly, it sucks. It has to suck living there a little bit.
And this was it kind of when you said that there was kind of there's a lot of television watching. There's also a lot of parking lot stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, all revolves around the parking lots. It's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
odd. So Carl steals a license plate. Then he argues with a parking lot booth guy because he comes out. He's like, "I'm not gonna park here." He's like, "Okay, well, you got to pay the $4. You came in here." Then he's like super rude to that guy. Well, you have a little bit of power. You think you're the sheriff of this parking lot? Ugh, terrible guy. So Jerry goes to talk to Shep, but Shep is talking to Marge. Marge, by being extremely nice, is trying to convince him to give names. And this is where I'm assuming he may have gave Jerry's name. I don't know. It didn't. I couldn't tell because it just kind of immediately cuts to this to Marge going to Jerry's, and I don't know, if he gave a name or if he didn't, and just Marge is checking out dealerships now, which maybe is.
And then, but the. Blah, blah, blah. Isn't it like right after this she talks to Shep? She's on the radio and they're talking about a guy that reported his wife missing, but he never did that.
No, that's at the very end. That's at the very end. So she's asking about the Tansier. Jerry is beating around the bush a little bit. Jerry lies again, saying he isn't missing any cars. Jerry
He looks so nervous.
Yeah, and it's just like, come on, Marge, how do you not see right through this?
I think she does, though.
Marge believes him and just like leaves essentially. Because at this point, she's like, "Oh, why would anybody lie to me?" It's like, I don't know. You're the cop.
Pregnant cop.
Exactly. Jerry then tries to call Shep, but can't get a hold of him. Then we cut to Marge. She's all dolled up and goes to meet Mike, her old friend, not fan. He seems like a fan of hers.
Yeah, he kind of goes.
Mike obviously likes her. It's very awkward. He's like squeezing her a little too tight, even though she's pregnant. We learned that Mike was married. I love that he tries to sit next to her.
Like, put his arm around her.
And she's like, "No, you just sit over there, okay?"
Yeah.
We learned that his wife died of leukemia. Mike just says he always liked Marge. Mike is very erratic, though, and he starts breaking down about being so lonely. And it's so awkward.
It is very awkward.
And for the longest time, I never understood why this scene was in the movie. Until, like, last year or the year before, me and Natalie talked about it. And she was like, because I was like, was she planning on potentially cheating?
No, I don't think so. I think she just got a call from a friend and she was just reconnected with old friends.
Yeah, I think that's like really all it was. And she just wants to like look nice for seeing her old friend. It's just like, it just seems like a very pointless scene, but we'll see. We'll realize why the scene isn't unimportant later. But a lot of Coen Brothers have this like one scene where you're like, I don't understand why
and the Coens are
we're doing this.
They're like, yes, you do not understand yet.
But in people's lives, almost every interaction you have with someone matters a little bit somehow. You never know what web you're getting into, by every conversation you have. So we cut to Carl watching a TV show that's a little later. Carl's watching a show with an escort. It's like this live show. It's really weird.
It's really weird that he's trying to act like this seems kind of fancy.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going on a date. It's like he's I don't know. It's very different from his character that we've seen before.
It's so weird. He's just trying to live like a certain high lifestyle that he thinks he's about to have because he's going to have 40
grand.
Yeah. But it's like, okay, dude, you just got 40 grand. That is like a year worth of work for most people.
Yeah. Now. Yeah. Like back in the 80s.
Yeah, that'd be great. Double. Yeah, exactly. So they watch the show. Then we cut to them having sex. And it's very funny because she's like, all right, come on. But then we see a hand reach out and take her and like sling her across the room. It turns out it's Shep. He comes in and starts beating the shit out of Carl.
Yeah, no, they don't have sex.
And then a neighbor comes in and it's like, hey. He like starts beating up the neighbor. It's like, dang.
Shep, man.
Then he goes back to Carl and he starts whipping him. Tell him to get out of town.
His ass.
Yeah.
So hard.
It's so wild. But then after he leaves, Carl calls Jerry telling him where to meet with the money. Wade leaves, but Wade's like on the other line of the phone. He just immediately leaves with the money. Jerry doesn't know what to do, and he just starts getting dressed, I guess, to go after him. We see Wade in his car practicing his speech, and we see that he has a gun. It's like, dude, Wade, you might be a tough guy in business, but I don't think this is going to work out for the old guy.
You think he wants to get his baby back, or he just wants to protect his money?
I think he's just kind of like a no-nonsense guy that's like, I can take care of anything. Yeah. I have money. I have power.
If you want something done right, do it yourself.
But crazy guy with a gun has more power than most people.
Yeah.
Because they're crazy.
Two crazy guys with guns.
Yes. So Carl is pissed when he sees Wade. Things start getting a little serious, and Wade is acting tough, and Carl's just like, screw it. Just straight up shoots the guy.
Hell yeah.
But while Wade is down, he ends up being able to shoot Carl straight through the face, and Carl finishes off.
I thought
Wade.
it like grazed him a little bit.
Yeah, it just kind of grazes his cheek or jawline. But Carl finishes him off and takes all the money. Jerry's plan has failed miserably
from the beginning.
At every aspect. So Jerry shows up to the garage and sees Carl speeding off. Jerry sees Wade's dead body, and it's
funny that he didn't like immediately turn around and chase the speeding car away, because do you think he'd recognize that was the car?
I don't. He doesn't have the guts. I think he just wanted to see if Wade was alive so he could hide the body, because he's more looking out for himself at this point, I think.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have known that he got shot. Yeah, I guess.
I think he's just wanting to check to see where Wade was, see if he's still up there, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he comes home and learns that Stan called, but his kid's like, Stan called twice. He's like, kids, are you going to call him back? He's like, no, I'm going to bed. It's like, what are you talking about? And I'm assuming Wade's just in the trunk. So we see a random officer. This is like a very random scene just out of nowhere. We see some random officer that we don't know and talking to some random guy we don't know.
Shoveling his driveway.
Yes. This guy says that he had a conversation with Carl, a weird-looking guy, who was looking for an escort, and Carl pretty much admits to this guy that he killed a guy and that he's staying near a lake. Carl in his big dang mouth. I love at the end of the scene. Looks like it's gonna get snow again soon, eh? Yeah, it looks cold. It was gonna be colder tomorrow.
Oh my
so
God.
Funny. It's like that's how every conversation probably ends. So Carl sees how much money was left and throws out some and leaves the rest in the briefcase, because he's like, I'm just gonna take his cut and just give it to him, but and then he goes and like
buries it in the
buries some in the snow. And he after he buries it, he looks around and is like, wow, there's no landmarks anywhere near this, and just stabs his little ice scraper on it. It's like, well, now you need an ice scraper. It seems like if you get out of your car for 5 seconds and walk in a building and come back out, it's gonna be covered in ice. And also he looks terrible in the scene.
His face is bleeding so hard.
Old boy struggling out here. But we see Marge. She's on the phone back at her hotel talking to a friend. Marge learned that everything Mike said was a complete lie. He never even had a wife. And the girl he's talking about, I guess he was like stalking her and wouldn't leave her alone.
Yeah, she's completely fine and alive.
Yes. So then we cut to a quick montage of Marge driving and eating. And then she decides to pay Jerry a visit. This is because of Mike. So this is something that I just never really put two and two together, because she's driving around this whole time and you see her face, she's kind of like stone faced, but as the montage is going, she's starting to like kind of be like, wait a second. It's like, well, if Mike can lie to me, maybe Jerry's lying. So this is making her go back to talk to Jerry again.
Nice.
It's the whole point of that scene. So if you're someone who's like, because I went online, even I was just like, what's the point of this scene, right?
With the /
yeah
r / Reddick
on
Fargo.
Well, I think it was there was kind of an article talking about it, and I can't remember what website it was, but they were saying, so this is considered one of the most pointless scenes in movie history.
Wow.
Yes. But then they go on and explain like all the reasons that it's like important for the story.
I see.
Yeah. So she's still asking about the car when she goes to visit Jerry. She keeps pushing and Jerry starts getting really snippy. I'm like, yo, you don't do that to the cops.
Oh, he's like, inventory? What?
But she realizes that he's obviously lying. She then wants to talk to the boss. So Jerry starts like, oh, what the heck? And I'll do the count myself.
Right now.
So she sits and waits, and looking around his office, she then sees that he's just driving off, and she gives the beautiful delivery of, oh, Pete's sake. She makes a call telling everybody to look out for Jerry. So we cut to Gaear. He's watching TV and eating. Classic. Carl comes in completely bleeding. But something I do love is that while Gaear's watching TV, it's this whole...
It's like a sitcom.
It's like classic daytime, like almost like Jerry Springer, like who's the father? Murray or Maury, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was more like the Days of Our Lives, like the soap opera.
It kind of seemed like it, but it also seemed like a reality TV thing. Well, maybe it was. I can't remember now. But I love when the lady on the TV says, "I'm pregnant." He goes, "Oh."
Yeah, it was so small.
Yeah,
like his emotions.
But he was genuinely like, "What?" I had no idea. So Carl comes in. He's bleeding. We see Jean face down on the floor with blood on the counter. Rip. Apparently, she started shrieking, and he had enough.
Oh, I didn't know there was blood. I just thought like he knocked her out.
Well, because luckily I paused it because there's like some stuff I had to type down on my notes, and then so it just paused right on that, and I was like, oh, there's blood right there. Did he just straight up kill her? Yeah.
This guy's a psycho.
So I'm assuming he just killed her. Carl gives him his cut and keys to his truck because Carl says he's going to take the car. Garrett says, no, we split that. And he says someone pays off the other half for it. It's like, Carl, pay him.
He just gave him a truck, though.
Yeah, well, he gave him a truck, but it's like, everything's got to be split. Here's the thing. Old boy has nearly $1 million in that car.
Yeah.
Give him $20,000. Be like, fair?
Yeah,
and then
I guess.
You get out, you drive off, you're safe. But Carl freaks out and threatens him. It's like pulls his coat to the side. It's like, do we have a problem? Showing his gun. So he goes, walk to the car. He says, I'm taking the car. Sorry. And then this shot just rules. Because it's just kind of like a 10-second shot of Carl walking out to the car. And then you just see Gaear come out with an axe and just straight up whacks him. God. It's like, anytime you think like, oh, I know where this is, I know what's going to happen, then you just got a guy taking an axe to the face out of nowhere. It's awesome.
And his axe is kind of weird too. It's not like a normal wood chopping axe. It didn't seem like, because it seemed like it was comical, double bladed, like a battle axe kind of deal.
It was almost kind of comical when I saw it. I was like, that's a big axe.
Yes.
But I guess it's probably something that you need for out in North Dakota.
His business
probably
axe.
Need both blades or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So Marge learns about Jerry's kidnapping situation because Stan told the cops eventually. I guess once he wasn't hearing from Wade, he's like, something happened. And while driving, Marge just so happens to pass the car. Well, I think she knows because that one cop got told about a lake and a house by the lake where they're staying. So I think she's just driving through the lake area and happens to see the tan syrup because they're not smart and hiding the car.
No, they're not at all.
Because he should immediately hit the car and then start wood chipping. So she goes to investigate and we hear a loud machine going. She looks around the house and we see Gaear throwing parts of Carl in a wood chipper.
It's like his foot sticking out with a sock on it.
Wild, man. God, it's not only is it crazy that you're doing that and spreading evidence everywhere, you're doing it in the snowiest place ever. It's like, why? You're just like all this white snow covered in complete blood.
Blood and
red.
muck. And
it's like you have all the blood like as you know how it's just shooting like the chunks of them out, so much blood just running down the machine.
Gross.
It's like, God, why
And
would you do this?
You can't quite get that leg in there.
Yeah.
She's pushing it down with a log.
Right.
And
And
can't
then
get it to chop up.
we have Marge. She kind of walks up and it's like trying to tell him, like, "Hey, cops!" And he can't hear her because of that.
You know, points
and
at
then
her
hat. But Gaear throws a piece of wood at her. She dodges it. He tries to make a run for it, and just like the guy he shot earlier in the film, she's able to shoot him almost the same way, but gets him in the leg instead of the back. And then we cut to her having him in the back of the cop car, and then we get like this little quote. So that was Mrs. Lundegaard on the floor in there, eh? And I guess that was your accomplice in the woodchipper and those 3 people in Brainerd. And for what? For a little bit of money. There's more to life than a little money, you know?
Hell yeah, Marge.
Don't you know? And here you are, and it's a beautiful day. Well, I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I know.
Such a classic Coen Brother like little monologue. It's so
it was so like warm. I don't know to hear her say all that.
Because she's like a loving, caring person. She doesn't want, like, she seems like she was someone who got in the business to help.
Yeah.
Like
to
she seems like
help
she seems like a legit like type of cop. She's like, I don't want to just give 5,000 tickets in one day. I just want to like help people out and stuff like that. It's like if you saw her, be like, oh, thank God it's Marge. Oh, she's gonna help me out here.
Arrest me, Marge. I want you to do it.
Yeah. And so we see that she hands him off to like the, I guess the Brainerd County Police or whatever. And in another county in North Dakota, we see some cops busting in on Jerry, who's trying to escape. And he's very sad and weak.
He is whining like
no.
Yeah, he's like ugly crying.
Yeah.
He's getting arrested.
It's like, oh, dude.
How did you ever figure out it was me?
Why did you get yourself in this situation?
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you and that pesky pregnant cop.
Then we cut to Marge and Norm watching TV once again. Norm tells Marge that he won the painting contest and his painting is going to be on the 3-cent stamp.
Well, he didn't win. He got like second place.
Yeah, well, so I guess this is for all just to have your paintings on stamps.
Right.
Because someone got the like 10-cent stamp. He got like the 3
So somebody got like the 29-cent stamp.
Yeah.
He's like, but I only got the 3-cent
Yeah.
stamp.
She's like, no, that's good. That's good.
Oh,
Everybody's got to use that stamp.
She's so supportive.
She tells Norm that they're doing pretty good, you know? Norm says, I hope just 2 more months. And because that's when 2 more months to that baby. And it's like, yay, happy ending.
Baby cop.
The end. So good.
Hell yeah, it was so good.
It's like, did it live up to the hype from the last time you watched it?
You know, I noticed a lot of things because when I watched it when I was younger, I liked it, but it wasn't like, it didn't live up to the hype of what I was hearing about it. But now, like watching it as an adult, it was like, a lot better.
It just crushes. Crushes. This movie rules. So we're going to head to our categories. This is where the first category is the good, the bad, the ugly, the fine. This is where we discuss the good of the film, the good, the bad, something bad about the film, the bad, the ugly, which is something that didn't age well, the fine, something that did age well. What you got, brother?
So I thought the good was just, it was like the complete like difference between good and evil. Like the Gaear, who's completely fucking evil.
Yes, straight up evil.
And the cops, weirdly, are like the really good, wholesome people. And sometimes you don't get that a lot in movies. Usually, like it's some of the cops are like kind of crooked or like
it's all usually in like crime stories. There's always like really bad cops, but in this case, they're just down the line. Like,
it's just
perfect cops.
Every time I saw a cop, I was really happy to see him.
It's like, oh, thank God they're here. I will say, I mean, there's a lot of like, I know past few times I've gotten pulled over, especially in Tennessee. Like I've always just had like the nicest cop. I'm like, yay.
Thank you, officer, for this $250.
But in college, man, I ran into just some of some very not very good cops that were just trying to get me arrested. It's weird.
Get you.
Yeah, because there's one time where I just came. It was late at night. I just came from hanging out with friends it's a sports bar, but it's mainly a restaurant, and they like to go there after work to
get
eat.
the drunkies.
And I just went there. I had like, just went to hang out with them. I had like one beer. And then I stayed there after that one beer, like 2 hours, and I come back, and of course my headlight's out. So they pull me over. And me being Mr. Honest Abe here was like, yeah, I just came from, I can't remember what it's called, but it's sport. And she was like, oh, how much did you have to drink? I was like, just a beer, which I shouldn't have said. I should have said, like, oh, I just came from this restaurant, whatever. Should have just lied. I don't know, I was being nice. She made me do like the whole like test and everything.
Really?
Yeah. And I messed up one aspect of it because she was like, all right, walk from your car to my cop car and then count to 18. But I'm nervous because I've never done this. So I walked all the way to her car and counted the whole time because all I heard was count your steps and then turn around. And I get to her car. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, you told me to walk to the cop car and walk back. And she's like, no. Then I passed everything else because I did it perfectly fine. And she's like, nah, you're drunk. And I was like, what? I was like, no, I'm not. I'm definitely not. But luckily, another cop, because she didn't have her breathalyzer, which I think was a lie.
Oh, shit.
But another cop pulls up. It's like, oh, I have a breathalyzer, and I passed it perfectly because I wasn't drunk. But she didn't give me back my license or insurance because she's like, just go. She was pissed. She was so upset that like I wasn't drunk.
Bitch.
And then I was like, I'm out. And then I got to the place that I was living there, and I was like, she has all my stuff.
That sucks ass.
They mailed it to me, but that took like 2 weeks.
No,
I already had all my stuff.
That's horrible. Hey, did you ever practice saying the alphabet backwards in case you ever got asked that question?
No, I can barely do it forwards. I'm just going to be screwed.
ZYXWTUV.
No, they didn't ask me that question, so I was like, cool. Thank God. All right, so my good, sorry for the tangent. My good were the Coen Brothers. They're one of the best directors in the biz. The comedy of being in the Midwest and using that very well in this film.
The Gene running out in the shower curtain.
Yes, so funny.
It was like, this shouldn't be funny.
Yeah,
but it is.
I just think the contrast between funny and like sad and serious and just the brutality of kind of the film. It all shouldn't mix well, but it mixes perfectly.
Yeah, that's really cool.
You got anything for the bad?
The bad.
I don't have anything. So
Not
it's up
really.
To you. Also, don't have anything for the ugly.
The decor, the stupid flower shit.
The ugly, I will say, the aesthetics of
the interior decorating.
Interior decorating in Fargo, North Dakota was not very good in 1987. That would be my ugly too. But did you have anything for the ugly?
No.
Okay. For the fine, something that I thought aged well, the Coen Brothers, obviously, but Frances McDormand is just.
He's great. He's great in everything.
She's great.
Or she's great.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was thinking of Macy. Good. I was thinking of Macy.
Yeah, she's great. She crushes this movie. Without her, as the cop, I don't know. It just there's something so tough about her, but also so sweet about her. I don't know, and she crushes it.
Yeah, and I think the fact that she's pregnant too also kind of helps with that. Like,
what I love about it is like nobody's focused in on the movie about her pregnancy, you know? Like, not everybody you assume would be, as she being a cop, would be like, do you want me to do this? Should I do this? I need to, here, you just stay, I'll watch and I'll tell you all that. But she's just in there doing it. No one's just like leaning on her hand, like helping her hand and foot. She's just doing the job and everybody's like really cool with it. But I guess because she is the chief of police there, because they did call her chief.
But I always love like a strong female lead.
Yeah. Know? Yeah, it's great. And Frances McDormand is always the best strong female lead. All right, so what's your double feature? The next category is double feature, a movie that we think would be a good watch alongside this movie.
Well, I was thinking of, instead of not a movie, but the True Detective series. Yeah, just because like this movie got me in the mood for more true crime
stuff. Yeah,
so I was like, man.
I will say, if you do watch True Detective, it is not as whimsical as this movie.
No, not nearly. But the first season's really great.
Way sadder.
Yes.
My movie is actually it's a Sam Raimi movie called A Simple Plan. It takes place in this. I'll just read it. 3 blue-collar acquaintances come across millions of dollars in lost cash and make a plan to keep their find from the authorities, but it isn't long before complications and mistrust weave their way into the plan. So it's essentially just these regular people find a crashed plane in the woods and there's just millions of dollars.
Ooh.
And so they want to keep it, but trouble ensues.
Trouble. You know,
so this was directed by Sam Raimi. He's like best friends with the Coen Brothers, and you can feel the inspiration throughout this entire film.
Is he best friends with both of them, or just one, and then the other one?
No, they all kind of came up together. They like lived together. Sam Raimi, the Coen Brothers, Frances McDormand, they all just like lived in a house together at some point. Yeah,
that's odd.
When they were trying to become up and coming directors and actors and stuff. Yeah. It stars Bill Paxton, Billy Bob Thornton, and Bridget Fonda, and they're all great in it. And it has a bit of a sadder ending.
You know, the movie I was gonna say before was Reindeer Games.
Oh
but
yeah,
that movie stresses me the fuck out, and
I never watched the whole thing.
God.
That's with not Brad. What's his name? Ben Affleck, right?
He might be in it. I can't remember all the people that are in it. But Jesus, it's the most stressful movie.
Yeah, because I believe that's yes, Ben Affleck, Charlize Theron, Gary Sinise, Ashton Kutcher's in that. I don't remember him in it.
Charlize Theron is naked in it. I know that much.
Hell yeah, boy. No, yeah. So that's our double feature. Make sure to join us next week, as we will be covering Rocky in celebration of Carl Weathers.
Rip, bro. One
of the most charismatic and just great actors. You probably know him from Predator.
Actor / linebacker?
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, and he's super funny in Arrested Development.
Yeah.
He's so good in that because he's trying to teach, what's his name? It's one of the guy that blew himself. The guy that always wears the never nude. Tobias. Yeah, he's just like trying to help him become an actor and stuff. He just keeps taking them. He's obsessed with eating though. Carl is so funny in that movie.
The funniest fucking show.
But yeah, we're gonna be going over Rocky. It's also one of my favorite movies, and it's my favorite sports movie. So it's gonna be great.
Adrian.
Hell yeah! So join us next Friday for that. Also, if you'd like to leave us an email discussing the movies, any of the movies that we covered, or just got any questions or any feedback, go to we recommend mailbag@gmail.com. Sorry for my dog there if you can hear him in the podcast. And if you want to follow us on Facebook, X, TikTok, wherever, or you want to listen to us on another platform, go to our linktree/we recommend podcast. And thank you, Joey Prosser, for the intro and outro music. You can follow him at X at Mr. Joey Prosser. And anything else, man, you want to add, brother? That's our ending?
I can't think of anything.
Good. Well, I've been Jesse.
I've been Jason.
This is the We Recommend podcast. We're doing all this just for a little bit of money. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.